Guys, I'm here with Dave Parisi, Mr. Energy. All right, guys, I'm with Jason, Mickey Thompson Tires. All right, guys, I'm here with Justin, Summit Racing.
I do.
Man, it's exciting. Dude, are you ready for this? Guys, welcome to the welcome to the Drag and Drive show presented by our race car friends at Summit Racing. Y'all, we have game-changing announcement tonight. Going to be in just a few minutes. We have backstage right now. We have John Paul Franks, who is bringing out a new event. We have talked about it the last couple of weeks with Heads Up Hustle, and so he's going to explain a little bit around it. We have Jeremy Bonnett tonight, who is dude, he's a hot rodder. I mean, we were just talking to him before the show started, and he was listing off all these cars he's raced and built and all this kind of stuff. I think you guys are really going to enjoy his time tonight. And then we're going to have Brett LaSala on, who you guys know has the Snot Rocket 2.0, which is currently the fastest Ford-powered drag and drive car in history. There's a ton of records that go along with that car, and he did message me a little bit ago. He will have he'll have to cut it a little bit short tonight because he's at the track actually tuning on a car, which is exciting. So we'll kind of split in between tuning sessions for him and jump on just from his phone there and go over some of the stuff that comes along with, winning the modified class at Sick Week, and then also his win in Street Car Elite, I think is a class. I've got my notes down below for Texas 2K. So pretty wild stuff for that guy. I want to start the show off by saying thank you to everyone that has become part of our Race Car Friends family. We appreciate the shares, the comments, the likes more than you guys know. There is a lot of times where I'm working on this stuff really late, that Eric is working on this stuff really late at night. And it's awesome when we can wake up in the mornings and see those likes and those comments from all of our race car friends that are out there. If you guys are new to this, my name is Mike Narks. I run dragonddrive.com and Drag and Drive Addiction. We, I don't know, live, breathe, everything, sleep, drag and drive. And that's who I am. And then Eric, introduce yourself, sir.
I am Eric White. I run 815 LSX Swaps and Motorsports Paparazzi. And we just, like Mike said, we're staying busy, keeping all this stuff running, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it all.
Yeah. And I want to congratulate you. If they're not following the 815 LSX Swaps page, you guys just crossed 2,000 subs on YouTube, which is a huge plus. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. What are you going to do with all that YouTube money?
We're actually going to do some sort of giveaway. So Super Clean is already on board, and we're gonna look for a couple other companies that are willing to donate some small items that we can do a giveaway for.
Oh, dude, that's so cool. And then 100,000 views on Motorsports Paparazzi. You're really leading over there with a ton of drag and drive content, which is awesome. Your trip to Drag Week and PRI, I think, has been most of your posts that I've seen anyways. And that could be because of what I've, all I follow is drag and drive stuff.
Yep. So 3 months ago, I started that channel just to kind of separate my personal LS stuff and then all the events I go to. So pretty excited for 3 months in. We're 175 subscribers. I don't remember what the video is, but 100,000 views. So far, it's just been all shorts because we don't have the follower over there yet. But once we get that up, we'll probably stream this over there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one other thing we got to do tonight is wish your dad a happy birthday.
Yeah.
So what's your dad's first name?
My dad is David White. He 63 today. They just left. We just had dinner and
that's awesome.
Celebrated his birthday, and he should be at home watching now. So happy birthday, Pops. And this is his Nova that I promise we're going to get it running this year.
I think it probably needs an LS in it, right? And that's kind of the plan. Isn't that what you do over there?
Yeah, maybe long term, but I think right now we just need to get it running so we can enjoy it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's fun. Well, happy birthday. If everybody in the chat would drop a HBD or happy birthday to Eric's dad, that'd be awesome. Dude, let's jump into show stuff because we have quite a bit of stuff to run through here really quick. get my notes back up so we can jump in here. So obviously, if everybody's been under a rock, they know that there is a new Dodge SRT Demon out there. This car looks absolutely crazy. 1,025 horsepower, 891, I think is what it ran yesterday at or Monday at the premiere, right? I think
Yep.
you can buy it with a parachute on it. You and I were kind of talking about cost and stuff like that. What's this thing cost?
I couldn't find an exact number, but when I was looking around, I thought I read around 100 grand. Not positive though.
Yeah, I think I did see that. It was like 96 or something like that, and 130 Canadian for the folks in Canada. Because what's weird to me is like this car's 3,300 units are going to be made, 3,000 for the US, 300 for Canada. To me, that sounds like a lot when you're talking about a car that is so going to be so special later on in in 40 years when we are the guys that are buying our wish we could have had cars, like a lot of the guys that go wild at Barrett Jackson right now.
Right.
Yeah. I haven't been able to figure out the significance of the 170. So if somebody can find that or explain it to us in the chat, that'd be great. I don't know what that is. I figured it was like 170 miles an hour, but I don't think the car ran that. And then my biggest question is like, are we going to see one of these at a drag and drive event? Because if they were making 300 of them, it would be pretty rare. But
Right.
3,000, they're like, man, somebody could buy this and run this thing around.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool,
And
but we always talk those guys need like some extra I don't know what, something to put pressure on them to make it not so easy when you're driving a comfort car, right?
yeah, well, this car is a little different because like it has a base cloth interior that is literally a passenger and rear seat delete, which I think is pretty cool. So if you wanted to add, well, the passenger and rear seat delete is more than just removing the seats too. They actually remove the seat and seat belts, which is crazy. But if you wanted that stuff, it's 2 grand.
Mm,
2 grand for cloth interior. I can't imagine what like the other stuff costs. There's no sound deadening in the car. There may be sound deadening in some of the car, but definitely no trunk carpet, no lamp in the trunk, which I thought seemed like a goofy thing to do. And then, dude, did you see the carbon fiber wheel upgrade cost?
I did. That was crazy.
11.5. Are you freaking? Whoo, let's go.
So
That's
we
a
got
bunch.
we got our 170 answer in here, 170 proof. So ethanol is 170 proof alcohol. So it has to
Ah,
do with the E85 basically alcohol
uh,
content. So
makes sense
there we
completely.
go. 170 proof is what it is.
Yeah. One thing I did find that was pretty neat is if you own a 2018 Demon, you can actually request this car through allocation to match your current car's VIN number.
Oh,
So it would have
cool.
the updated, year, whatever tag that is within the thing, but the VIN plates would match, which tells me these guys are thinking ahead. They're thinking collectors, they're thinking that kind of stuff. So that's my question to the folks in the chat. Um, is this a car that you would just own, like buy and stare at, or are you guys going to buy this and put 10,000 miles on it racing in a drag and drive over the next 5 years? And
Danny's
then,
asking if we made the big announcement yet. Not yet. So you didn't miss
not yet.
anything.
It's coming. We were going to actually be announcing it now, but I figured I would push it back so some folks could jump in here. Um, and then my last question for the Demon 170 is, what color would you order? Would it be one that was all the options? Would it be the basest base car you could get? And then how many miles a year would you drive it, Eric?
For me, I'd probably get fully loaded.
Yeah.
I want something comfortable and fast. So I've done enough of the race car minimum.
Hmm.
So I'd do something fully loaded. Color wise, I'm always a fan of black cars. Both of my cars are
Yeah.
black, so I'd probably stick with black car, tinted out windows, and some nice drag.
Yeah. I think I'm going basis to the base. I'm
Yeah.
gonna thinking later on, like, is that car going to be worth more because the folks that are ordering this car are going to get all the bells and whistles? Like it's going to be interesting to see. Like, we're going to look back on this video that we made 20 years from now and be like, Wow, we were idiots. Well, before we bring John Paul on, I want to thank all of our sponsors. They make this happen. Summit Racing Equipment, Molly Motorsports North America, Sweet Patina, Howard's Cams, and Racing Junk. You guys all make all of this stuff possible. So please support the folks that support us. We would certainly appreciate that. If you want to, let's bring John Paul Franks in, the creator of Heads Up Hustle.
Sounds
all
good.
Right.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Man, doing it is great. Awesome tonight. I'm excited about this. Okay, let's talk about Heads Up Hustle and how it is different than a standard drag and drive. But first, I want to tell everybody they can find more information at headsuphustle.com. I love the name. I love that you were able to lock in the website too.
Yeah, we took a couple weeks just delaying the announcement of the event to make sure we got our branding and name and everything right. We could have announced a lot earlier, but we wanted to come out and have a good presentation. It's been in the works for a very long time. Actually, me personally, I've been working on hosting or promoting the Drag and Drive event for over a year, and this has finally come to fruition here. So I'm excited.
That's exciting. And it is, for folks that don't know yet, that haven't dug into the email, this is an elimination style drag and drive race with Milan Dragway, Lapeer Dragway, and then back to Milan. So kind of lay out the format for everybody that's at home.
Sure. So Friday, we are going to be having our first day, like I said, at Milan. We're going to do Q1 and Q2 for all the classes. And then time permitting, we'll have an all run session for anyone who didn't make it or was late or had any issues. And the rules that we're going to be doing are each car to stay in competition has to turn in one time slip per day. So ideally, most cars are going to want to take advantage of both qualified sessions, Q1, Q2, or Q3, Q4 on the second day at Lapeer. However, if you can't make the one call or something happened, you have to at least make one hit. And if you can break the beams and you can't make it on the track, you'll do a 20-second time slip, basically similar to most other drag and drive events. But to maintain any competition, you have to break the beams and make a pass every day during qualifying.
Yeah, under power. Can't be pushed through that. Yep. So Q1 on Friday, Q2 on Saturday, and then how will you guys set up your ladders?
Yeah, exactly. So we're using professional, like pro ladders, like what you'd use for a radial tire race, that type of thing. So the ladders will be set by the average of your pass on Friday and your pass on Saturday. So your fastest pass Friday, your fastest pass Saturday. We'll take those, we'll average them, and then we'll just set it fastest through slowest and punch it into the ladder. We'll have an open comp class. They're actually going to qualify by reaction time. That's similar to how most open comp classes qualify. So if someone would go 001 positive reaction, they're most likely going to be #1 qualifier. And then there, you can look at all the rules, everything's on headsuphustle.com, but basically they're going to qualify by reaction time. And we have a no time class, which will be a first ever no time drag and drive. I mean, I guess there's another one coming up as well, but this will be basically they'll have to make a shakedown pass Friday and Saturday and have to turn that time slip in to prove that their car is running under power, make it back, and we'll do a chip draw shootout for the no time guys.
Wow. That's going to be interesting. I think that's going to bring out a lot of people. I think that, you're onto something here for sure. And then classes, how many classes do you have?
So let me jump over here. We have, I'll just go through. We have an unlimited class, small tire class, big tire class, stick shift class, and a big block and a small block, daily driver, hot rod and gasser class, a full-size truck class, motorcycle, open comp, and no time. So I believe that's 12 classes if I was counting correctly.
Nice. That's awesome. The truck class, that should be one that'll be very interesting to watch. A lot of S10s and C10s in that. And then what are the dates of the event?
This is Friday, July 14th is the start date and runs through Sunday, July 16th. If we do get all 200 cars, which is we're limiting it to 200 cars, if we get all 200 cars signed up, we will potentially be teching anyone who comes in early Thursday night to try to speed tech things up because we're racing in the morning and driving in the afternoon, evenings. So we want to try to make sure we get a good start Friday morning. So anyone who comes in early on Thursday, we're going to text them Thursday night.
That's cool.
Yep.
And then speaking of registration, for event registration, when are you doing it?
For event registration is this Saturday. It is going to happen at 10 a.m. So I guess I didn't know until after I've already scheduled it. It's the same day as Hot Rod Drag Week registration, but I'll be busy because I'm actually signing up my personal car to go race in Hot Rod Drag Week.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to try to go race naturally aspirated small block there. So
that's awesome.
I'm a heads up drag racer. I raced Milan. They're Motor City Muscle all year last year in their heads up class. I didn't win anything, but oh well.
Hey, you raced. That's the main thing, especially about drag and drive stuff, is you got to get out there. So we'll talk about registration for Drag Week here shortly, and then your registration is also this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Correct, 10 a.m. Eastern, and it's $350 to register, and that's going to cover all 3 tracks. It's going to cover T-shirts, and currently we do not have any payouts. But as we get sponsors, the plan is to have payouts. I just can't, guarantee that at this point.
I understand.
We're working to have payouts.
Yep, that's pretty awesome, man. And I think for drag and drive, not necessarily payouts aren't necessarily the reason folks come, but it's always a good way to reward those that do. So, man, that's exciting. I will be watching registration for that for sure. With you guys being on Drag Week, it may actually help, because if Drag Week sells out pretty fast, your event's right in behind it. Folks may sign up right for your event. So
I hope so. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but hey, whatever helps.
Well, when Drag Week makes announcements, they just make announcements. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to plan around anything from them, just because they're the OG. They're the ones that set it all up. Well, man, thanks again, everybody. You can find more info at headsuphustle.com, or you can message John Paul Franks, I think, probably on any social media under the Heads Up Hustle page. That would probably be another good way to get a hold of you.
One more thing, if you had just 1 second, I do want to announce this is brand new news for our event today, that Rick Dodge will be our competition director for our event.
Man, that's awesome. Well, Rick is a great dude. We love that guy. So it'll be cool to see him out there. Oh, yeah. And he's in the chat too. So that's perfect.
Hey there, Rick.
Perfect. All right, John Paul. Thanks, bud.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
So cool, dude. I'm loving all of the new events that are coming. Should we give everybody what they're wanting? Should we tell everybody what we've been talking about behind the scenes for weeks?
This thing? The announcement?
You mean do what?
The announcement?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hang on. Not that. Let me jump in here, and actually I will add it to this. Oh, I was supposed to be going through all of these pictures. Thank you to our race car friends. There's the Heads Up Hustle thing there with those as well. I'm talking about this one right here. This one right here. Will you turn that banner off so everybody can see it? Y'all, this is probably the biggest thing to happen to Drag and Drive since we announced the Drag and Drive Racer Awards presented by Summit Racing at PRI 2023. This is part of that. As part of that award show, Summit Racing and Drag and Drive Addiction will be awarding a world champion Drag and Drive racer. I'm going to pause for dramatic effect here. We're releasing it's a point series. We're releasing the points very, very soon. We've got about 95% of them put together. There are a few criteria that are important for you guys to know right now as we move forward. So the Drag and Drive World Champion presented by Summit Racing will be calculated from national level events only. A national level event has to have the minimum of 4 days of scheduled racing, 625 miles minimum public road miles driven. Racers have to submit at least 1 time slip per day if weather allows. If there are more than 4 days of racing, we will obviously, anyways, it's all in the stuff later on. Racer time slips are calculated to determine the racer average, and then the racer average will then determine the event standings. So those are our main things. We are limiting this to you Drag and Drive racers' top 3 event finishes. So you can't go out and attend 5 national drag and drive events and become the world champion just because you have more points than someone from attending the events. We are fine-tuning the point system with racers and promoters. So we expect to have it locked in, I would say very, very soon, possibly even by this weekend, but certainly by the next national level event. And the next 3 national level events are Southeast Street and Yeet, Six Summer, which is sold out, and Summit Racing Midwest Drags. Guys, this is a huge win for the community. I think this is going to bring a lot of new eyes to the sport, because anytime you start talking about a world champion and point series and things like that, it allows for more eyeballs within the community to come over. So I'm really, really, really excited. I am updating the points standings from Sick Week now. That will reflect onto the top 100 list coming up probably by Friday, or I may release it Saturday morning with the Drag and Drive news. So I'm really excited about this. We've been working very, very diligently. That's why I have been a little bit slower about posting stuff. This is a huge deal. We love having Summit Racing in behind this. They are one of the biggest driving forces of Drag and Drive right now. They are everywhere, and I mean, they're huge supporters of the sport. So let's jump into. I hope everybody is ready for that stuff there. That's going to be an absolutely crazy time. Crazy lead in.
Jay's asking, does fastest win, or does it have something to do with averages? Do you want to go over that again real quick?
Yeah, so we're gonna release all of that. It will be based on your each event performance will give you X number of points, and then those points are added together. So you will be, I don't want to give too much away, but each event you attend is worth X points. So you need to attend at least, I mean, we're going to cap it at 3 national events, and you need to perform well at each event and within your class. I don't know how else to say that without giving you guys a bunch of tips and things like that. It will not be based on just the fastest car, right? Will not win, right? May not win. By the modeling we have done with previous years, actually the fastest cars didn't do as well because they didn't perform as well at each event. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. You'll know more, I hope, by Saturday morning. So that's the plan. So I will tell you this: if you go out, choose your class wisely, make things happen at events, and good stuff will come. So huge plus there, huge win for the sport. I know it is, and I love having Summit Racing. I mean, it's only been a blessing for us and for the sport having them around. So let's jump in.
Give away like a big WWE World Champion belt or what?
Yeah, we're actually talking to a bunch of designers and stuff like that for that right now as well.
Nice.
So yeah, the winner will definitely want to display this Drag and Drive World Champion Award, and it's not just US based. We are going to include some international events as well. So there's going to be some benefits for those guys and opportunities for those that have raced here in the States that are now overseas, and those guys that are overseas that are coming this way. So world champion doesn't mean US or Canadian champion. It means world. We're going to look at everything. So that'll be adding events to our lists and all that kind of stuff on dragonddrive.com as well. So it should be some really, really good here. Please message me. Whoever made this comment here, please message me and let's get in contact. So, because that's been the thing, we've been designing some stuff, but I haven't talked to anybody. Yes. Can it be awarded with John Cena walk-up music? If you don't think I'm going to play some kind of crazy walk-up music, you're out of your mind. The entire PRI award show is going to be live streamed, so we're going to have a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And it's going to be given to the racer at PRI?
Yes. Yep. And if they can't make it, I may fly to them and give it to them in person. I don't know. This is going to be really fun. We're going to have a great time. I think with what it will take to win this, I think we're going to see it. It'll be a top tier competitor. It'll be somebody that has performed well across events. Now we are Oh, perfect. Yeah, Karen Price. She's my lady anyways. I got the whole box of circuit shirts the other day, or 9 boxes of circuit shirts the other day. So I'll talk to Karen here for sure in just a moment. So that'll be perfect. Love that lady and what she does over there as well. So yeah, this is a big deal. It's going to be really cool. And I think with what we have planned for the award show, it can really draw some attention. The biggest part of drag and drive events is we're still very, very small. The community is very, very small within the drag racing community. So I think we start kind of hooping and hollering and having some fun in one of the rooms. And then, after the event, some dude or lady is walking around with a, WWE style piece around their waist with a championship belt over their shoulder and all the extra swag stuff we're going to have with it. It's going to be fun. Rich Guido is currently doing pretty well within the point standings. So that'll be that. Yeah, he's got a good chance. So one thing that is cool about it, do it.
I said, so everybody should attend PRI this year because it sounds like we're going to have a
Oh
party.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, come on, let's do that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So all right, we're going to move on. There's a lot more about that coming. I promise I'll go into extreme detail on as soon as all of the stuff is locked in stone, because once we are locked in with the rule set and points, there will be no changing it for 2023, and we will look at updates for 2024. So pretty exciting. All right, if you guys could do us a favor and hit the share button while we're in here, that would be great. Get us a couple more folks in here while we're watching through this. Let's see, what was the last thing I had on my notes here? That's not that. Oh,
event countdown.
Dude. Yes, because we have Southeast Street and Yeet, which we talked about being the next national event. 8th Mile event, 4 days of racing, 11 days from now. Dude, 11 days. That's like a week and a half, man.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'm ready, believe me. The circuit is in 25 days. I'm telling you, when I typed that out, it actually gave me a little bit of a panic attack, to be honest. I was like, oh man, it's time. So there's so much stuff that goes in from the promoter side that makes these events worthwhile and fun. And when you have as many racers coming as we do, there's a lot riding on this. We want to get these guys to have the best actual time they can within reason with their clothes on. Cruise and Lose is in 32 days. Six Summer is in 78 days. And Midwest Drags is in 110 days. I know 110 days sounds like a long way off, but it is absolutely not. And there are still spots available at Midwest Drags. So pretty cool. I'm excited to be there again as a pit announcer. And in other event news, Hot Rod Drag Week, like John Paul talked earlier, registration opens up this Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. They are limiting registration to 400 cars. The top 3 racers from each class were offered early registration this week. So you guys saw some posts from other drag and drive racers. Hey, we got in, all this kind of stuff. That put everybody in a panic. They were like, oh man, did I miss it? No, just the top 3 racers from each class were offered early entry. The public entry is this weekend, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. If you miss out on that or want to attend a regional event, make sure you jump into headsuphustle.com and register for that one at 10 a.m. Eastern on Saturday.
Let's go. Season is upon us.
We're fixing to get real busy, real busy.
I'm excited for the circuit. As everybody knows, I will be down there with you, hanging out, shooting video or helping wherever I'm needed. So
yeah, you have no idea what you're getting into here, man. I'm telling you. It's gonna be your first drag and drive event to like hang out with all weekend. You attended a couple of days of drag week over the years, but this will be a fun one. And then our plan is for Eric to run the camera and then also edit videos whenever I can't get to it as well. So I think with being the promoter, it's going to be hard for me to jump in and do much editing except late at night. So we'll have him dropping as many videos as we possibly can. I'll be going live from my phone at route stops and during the day and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I'm assuming it'll be record, edit, sleep for a little bit, repeat.
Yeah. So kind of the plan would be as registration opens at 9 on Friday morning, and this is longer than what I wanted to go with this, but Jeremy's backstage, so we'll get to him in just a second. But the plan would be I would love to drop 2 videos during the day of simple, easy stuff. Some of the registration and interviews with cars and drivers, and then kind of some racing and stuff like that. So it'll be pretty easy. And then obviously the next day will be great because we're driving all day. It's 220 miles, 225 miles for the trip for Saturday. So we'll have plenty of time. You can sit in the passenger seat of the car and just ride along and edit as we drive and get car sick. So, well, let's do this. Let me get Jeremy's introduction here, and then we'll bring him in. So Jeremy Bonnett, if you have not met him in the past, he is a great dude and is eat up with drag and drive and hot rodding. He started his drag and drive career at Hot Rod Drag Week 2016 in a 28 Pontiac that ran 9.909 average. He went to Summit Midwest Drags 2019 in a 29 Model A with an 8.215 average. Now, the 2019 Midwest Drags did have an 8th mile day, so he didn't run like 8.215 in the quarter all week. And then Midwest Drags 2021, they actually were a dual entry father and son team. So he raced the 28 Model A with a 9.6 average, and then his dad raced the 52 Henry J that we're going to talk about here in just a minute for a 10.367 average. And then we actually met at Sick Week 2022 when I did a walk around on his 28 Pontiac. And then they are one of the few father, son, and grandson teams in drag and drive. So let's bring him on. Mr. Jeremy Bonnett, how are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
I hope I got some of that stuff right. It's hard when you're looking back at Excel spreadsheets to get the full effect of all that. Now, you have a long racing history that we're going to talk about here in just a second, because you didn't necessarily start with racing cars. You started with some other stuff. So why don't you introduce yourself and then tell us what got you started in racing?
Jeremy Bonnett. I guess what got me started in racing is my dad raced motorcycles, and the problem was, I guess, is when you grow up with it, it is bred into you, or whatever you want to call it. So I raced motorcycles since I was 4 years old. Raced motocross until I had a couple neck surgeries and some stuff like that. Had to quit riding motorcycles for a little bit, and actually convinced my doctor that driving midget sprint cars was safer. So I drove those for a little while, and then went back to road racing motorcycles and road raced motorcycles until professionally until 2004. So
wow,
that was kind of a.
What motorcycles did you race?
I rode on some national endurance teams, and then so big bikes, and then also I started out riding 125 GP bikes, 2-strokes. I rode the Aprilia Cup for a couple years, which is kind of like a spec class, and then I moved up and rode AMA 250 Grand Prix bikes until 2004. So
that's pretty cool.
So we've always had race cars, though, and our family's always had cars. So it's kind of just, when I got out of racing motorcycles, it was just kind of a natural, I had to do something. So
yeah, anytime you're used to going that fast, you still need some speed. Well, let me play this here, and then or actually let's walk through. We'll start with the Henry J, because that's one of the coolest cars I think that you race. I really enjoy looking at it from the pictures anyways. I don't know if I've seen this car in person before. Let me get it pulled up here. And these pictures are some of the stuff that was posted the other day from Midwest Drags page. I think this was the 2021 event.
Yep. This was an event me and my dad both did. He built that Henry J in our shop. I'd like to say I helped him, but I was super busy with a lot of other customer cars at the time, and I kind of had to bail on him most of the time. And he ended up building that car himself. We did do the body work and paint on it, some other little stuff, but as far as the chassis goes and all of that, it was all built in our shop. So
what's the combo in this one?
that is a LSX, but since it's a nostalgia car, it has a carburetor on it. It has belt drive distributor, coil. So it's basically, I mean, it's still a dry sump LSX, but it's a basic, no electronics on it.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And now, a lot of times you'll see a Henry J and it's just is absolutely, gassered out. It has like big front end and all that kind of stuff. What's the front end setup in this car?
This is a tubular A-arm. It's just a little tubular A-arm front end setup.
Gotcha.
We wanted it low, kind of to do something different than we do a lot of gassers, and we just wanted something different. And the car is super, super low.
I can tell.
It just looks slick, and he drives it on the street a lot, so that makes it even better. So
yeah, one thing that people have to understand about a Henry J is like they're tiny. They're really tiny. What's the wheelbase on this thing?
This one is actually 103, I believe. So, and if this car, the next time you see it, you'll have to get in it. You can actually sit in this car and stretch your legs all the way out. It's amazing. I mean, you kind of sit where I guess the back seat would have been, but you have a ton of room in the car. It's super comfortable. It drives perfect down the street. So it's a really cool car.
That's a good thing, especially with as many drag and drive events and street driving you guys do on this. Now, I think our next shot here is moving into the Pontiac, and let's see if it'll play here. Yeah, it's not going to give us audio, is it?
No.
So if you want to kind of tell us a little bit about this car, this is when you and I actually met. What people may see here in a minute is the organ grinder, and then there's another whole row. Jason Schaefer was in this. Yep. Justin Chestnut with the green and black Model A that I was riding with for Sick Week. This is all Sick Week 2022. Obviously, you guys can see that. And then someone else was in that group too, but I can't remember who it was. So give us a little rundown on this car here.
Well, all of my cars, you'll see 28 Pontiac and you'll see 29 Model A. Them two cars are the same car. The only reason I had Drag Week when it came up 28 Pontiac is because that's the only title I could find at the time.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
At this time, I have a 29 Model A title now for this car. So I have a 28. So I have a 28 sedan title if anyone ever needs one, So
now, why does this one play audio? Dude, that's a wild ride right there.
Yeah, this was the first day we had we just built a new power plant for it. And we're trying to tune the wheelie out of it. And this was a pass that I pedaled it twice, and it's still, I think it went 122 to the 8th and 150 something out the back, even pedaling it twice. So it should run good as soon as we get it sorted out here.
That's wild, dude. I can't imagine that kind of ride. Now, what's the powertrain in this one? Did you say that a while ago?
Well, now it has a aluminum 400-inch aluminum with 18-degree Brodex sheet metal intake with a 671 and the same carbs. The combo that I ran all through from 2016 up was just a 414. It was just a Dart SHP block. It's the most street engine I've ever, that I tell people and they laugh, but the thing has hydraulic roller in it. It had Comp Gold rockers. And that engine had been, that's the one I hurt at the last day of Sick Week last year. And we knocked the ring lands out of it just being kind of greedy, I guess. But but that engine had 8,000 miles and 400 passes on it when we heard it last year. So it really didn't owe me anything.
Right. That's wild. And then trans and rear setup in this thing?
Trans is just a 400 with a, I mean, it is that setup right there that I ran from 2016 up until last year is, I would tell people, I said, I have less money in the engine, transmission, and rear end in that thing than probably half of the fast cars have in just a transmission. So, and it ran so good. So hopefully
awesome.
this new one will last as long.
Yeah. And then, I mean, what rear did you say?
It's got a 9-inch, with a, it's got a 389 gear. It's a
I'll tell you,
9-inch.
this look right here is perfect. The tucked wheel in the body, I love it. That's really what drew me to the car at Sick Week 2022.
Yeah, that was actually the year that we did that. We couldn't get Mickey Thompson's. Actually, I got home from, I couldn't get any, so I used the M&H's, which weren't really that great. I wish they worked because we didn't have near as good of average as we wanted to that year. But we did find out when we got back, we did a dirt drags, and we did put the M&H's on, and with about 150 mile an hour wheel speed, they actually went really good in the dirt. So
that's awesome.
So yeah. Yep. So that, and since then, I believe, well, we got the new 3030 wheels, which are kind of they're the bronze wheels that are on the car now.
Were they the ones that were in the video?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, they look great.
So, yep. That's been a great car, and it's just, we built the car to have fun, so we literally take it out and do anything with it. Whether it was dirt drag, we wanted to go to one of the Rockabilly shows up here this year because they had a dirt track, and we wanted to dirt track it, but we didn't get to make it to that. So
that's pretty fun. That's a cool car. And then tell everybody about this car, because you were telling us before that we started the live stream that this is the next the next build.
Yeah, this is a 33. It's actually a Chuck Finder's body. My son Jared actually built the cage that's in there, 25 4 cage. So it still has square tube rails, but the rest of the cage is all Docal.
Nice.
So he just got done building that. That's his first full cage.
Wow.
So he did that from start to finish, and I'm pretty proud of it, really, because
it looks super tight. One thing that I did notice is, from this shot, you can tell that there's not really, a lot of times the cage will really be in the way of getting in and out. And
it's
this
tucked
car looks
away.
So
you can
small.
Hardly see it. Yeah.
Yeah. But you look at this shot here, and it allows for, the cage is actually behind the pillar there, which I think would definitely help getting in and out.
Yeah, the problem with a 33 Willys is where you're sitting, you're actually looking out of that small back window. You can't see. Your head is all the way. I mean, you're sitting against the rear wheel tub to have any leg room at all. So, so that's the hardest part, is going to be just the visibility in this car.
Oh, for sure. And then what's the event debut for this one?
We're gonna try to get it done before the end of the summer. I mean, we wanted to get it done this year, but Bill from Whack Axles is doing a axle for it right now, because right now it has a tubular arm front end on it, so we're cutting it off at the firewall and doing that just so we can run the hot rod and gasser class.
So what will your front end be on it now?
It'll be a straight 4-inch drop straight axle.
Nice.
So it'll be a straight axle car. It'll be a gasser. low stance gasser. So hopefully, and we don't know exactly what we're going to put in it yet. One of our small blocks, or we have like a 13.5-to-1 big block also that we can put in it that we're.
Man, I can't imagine a big block in that car and having to try and figure out how to work on it and stuff, especially, if this car's ever going to be at a drag and drive event, how hard that would be.
I've learned over the years, like I keep saying, every car I build from now on is going to be really easy, because my car, I tried to tuck everything away. And this one, I'm going to put all the electronics on a board that I can swing down from the dash and stuff to work on. I mean, like Matt Donovan's got it all figured out. If you've ever seen his car, he opens the passenger door and all of his electronics and wiring is right there. He can sit on a bucket outside, and so that's kind of my
trace
plan.
Stuff.
Yep.
Well, and that's one of the things I think for a lot of guys that are coming into the drag and drive community, I think that is one of the largest tips there. One of the best tips is make stuff easy to work on, make stuff easy to get to. That's the biggest thing. It looks really cool being tucked away. It looks good being tucked away, but it doesn't help any at all.
Nope. The ease of working on it is definitely, especially when you're on the side of the road or at night, or like this year we had an ignition box go bad at Sick Week, and we were in a hotel parking lot. I was upside down under the dash. I barely made it to Sick Week because I hurt my back at work. So 3 days before that, I was in the hospital on steroids and stuff like that. So it made it for a rough day when we hurt the ignition box and it was up underneath the dash. So that taught me a valuable lesson, I guess. So
sometimes you got to learn the hard way, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, before we jump into some of the, I would say more mainstream drag and drive questions, tell us about this car here.
This is a car. This is a 33 Willys. I drove this car for the last couple years for a guy out of Mentor. His name's Don Moyer. He has Moyer Museum of Speed, which is a really cool shop. All kinds of race cars. I don't know if you've ever seen the Rebel Reaper, the Gasser, the Rebel Reaper. It does huge wheelies and stuff. That's him. His shop has, it's the coolest place for a guy, any of us. It has like a 50s diner and stuff in it and everything. But this car was raced in, I believe, 68, 69, 70. Bill Levick drove the car. He died in a gasser. Mickey Hart put the car away. The car was brought back to life by Don Moyer. It's an actual nostalgia gas car, double A gasser. So it has a 33 Willys chassis under it. It still has a straight axle with a buggy spring.
Oh my gosh. I bet this thing is fun at speed.
So it's got a 461 big block iron heads, 671 with a 4-port on top. And we set the record for the car we won Indy with it at the Big Go, Big Gasser Go last year. We set a record in the car. We went 5.0s at 140 something, which, I talk to people and I go, 5.0s isn't very fast in a race car anymore, but it is in this one.
I can only imagine.
This car, literally, we have to nut and bolt it after every pass. It shakes front end loose, and like the hairpins and everything on the car it wasn't built to go that fast and have that much horsepower. Wow. So it was really a fun ride. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. That's awesome to be involved in cars like that. I mean, I can't imagine just the history along within that car that brings that much more to all of
the history of this car was the history of that car. I mean, I was almost afraid to drive it, and when I talked to the owner, I said, I'll drive it, but I'm going to drive it exactly like I would drive my own. I'm not going to overdrive the car. And he said, that's exactly why I'm having you drive it. So it was kind of a mutual. And I had two guys, this Squirrel and Jason, Racing Jason Barnes. He runs front engine dragsters. He was the crew chief on the car, and they made it so easy on me that I mean, it was just we enjoyed ourselves for 2 years. I mean, it had a great time.
Oh, cool.
So Bob
Bo Breeden here. Yeah.
Yeah, he says tell him how you had to sit sideways in it.
Yeah, in that car, the steering shaft comes up. It would be right where your left leg would be. So your left leg actually, the brake pedal was kind of where a throttle pedal would be, and your leg was bent around the steering shaft. So you couldn't really push that brake. So it had a handbrake in the car also. And then the throttle was on the passenger firewall. So you sat kind of sideways in the car, and the shifter was in the passenger floorboard, and then the switches were on the right behind the passenger door. So you sat sideways in the car, and everybody's like, there's no way you can drive this car like this. And I said, believe me, as soon as it fires, you don't even realize you're sitting anyway. I mean, all of that goes away, and you just.
Yeah. Especially like I can only imagine just the violence of that car.
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience, and I'm glad I got to drive it for sure.
Man, that's so cool. Well,
and the car is for sale. I just can't afford it. So,
but hey, you're willing to drive it for whoever owns it next.
I would, yes, but I think he's wanting it to go to a museum. So,
nothing wrong with that as long as they start it every now and then.
You
can't let race cars
for
sit
sure.
idle. That doesn't help them at all. Well, let's move to some, drag and drive related content and questions and things like that, because you definitely have some history there. But first, I want to thank one of our sponsors, Sweet Patina. We're excited to have them on board as the Built for Drag and Drive sponsor for 2023, which I think lends a lot of credence to what you do with building your cars. Sweet Patina has detailed products, apparel, garage art, and more things you need in your garage and on your car, shiny or patina. My favorite item they offer is obviously the TKO hand cleaning wipes. I literally, it's muscle memory now to pick these up right from the counter here in the podcast room. Heavy duty waterless wipes. They are my favorite go-to. I always clean my hands before I go into the house if I've been wrenching on something. And guys, use code DND57 at checkout for a discount. That also tells them that their investment in us was a good one. So let's thank you to Sweet Patina for coming on board, and we've got big plans for the Built for Drag and Drive segment for 2023.
I wanted to go back to a comment here, which was, I thought this was good. Pat had mentioned when we were talking about wiring, putting extra labels on wires never hurts when you're in a hurry to find stuff. So as I'm building my Mustang, I have all my relay board is on the passenger. Once you open the door, there's a board right there on the cage, and I've been trying to do this and label all the wires as I go, just in case, because I agree that's when you're trying to find something, the more labels, the better.
Yeah, 100%, and especially for drag and drive racers, think about, and builders, think about as you're in that car at 1 a.m. on day 3 of a drag and drive event, and you have no more mental capacity, and your cell phone has 22% life. How are you going to find that wire that you need to find?
Yep.
Because those are things that happen, aren't they, Jeremy?
That is for sure.
And then Andrew Nelson here says the Dirty 30 was built in a way that your right leg was on the right side of the trans tunnel and your butt was on the left side.
You guys are wild, man. You guys are absolutely wild. So let's talk about, now we saw the Model A / Pontiac with the trailer. Are you guys always trailer guys, or do you run a basket, or do you yard sale stuff?
there's really no room in the back of that where the seats are. You could barely get the cage up into there's like a little package tray. So we always pull the trailer in that, and it pulls super good. It's got a 501 perfect converter in it that Bubba built for us, and the thing, it's a pretty tight converter because of the blower, and the thing runs down the road with no problem. So we've never had a problem pulling the trailer. So
that's awesome. That's one of the questions I had intended to ask later on was, is there anything special that you do for, for pulling a trailer in a race car? Is it, do you have a different converter? Do you spec a different converter? Do you have a bigger trans cooler, things like that?
honestly, I do nothing. I don't have a trans temp gauge in the car because I just tell people I don't want to know. And it's one of those. It has a big trans cooler in it. It has a Reese hitch that the trailer goes into, which doubles as the parachute. The parachute. So when we get to the track, I try to do the least amount possible. I drive all week on 315 drag radials. So what we do is get to the track. We literally pull the pin on the hitch and slide the parachute in and put the cable in, and that's it.
I think that's probably one of the biggest benefits to pulling a trailer.
Yeah, for sure. And then the as far as this year, even I'm going to run with mufflers all the time. So I'm not even going to take the mufflers off, put bull horns on or anything like that, unless I do have zoomies for this engine. So maybe the last day or something, we'll pull them off and put the zoomies on just for fun or something. But
that's awesome.
What events are you planning on for 2023?
2023, we're kind of we had to drop out a sick week. We had some problems, and then what we had planned, we're kind of trying to work around some stuff right now. We are doing nostalgia nights. We're going to try to maybe do some just like show up later on in the year for a couple events. We're going to we'll do like the Blue Suede Cruise, which is an NDRL race at Norwalk. We'll do the Rockin' Race at Dragway 42, which is a great nostalgia event. We're going to try to go up and do the airfield drags with Matt Donovan and them guys. And then the nostalgia nights, as far as the drag and drive stuff, is the only thing we're signed up for right now. So
that's cool. And then let's talk some event strategy stuff, because I meant to ask this earlier about the 2 passes for Midwest Drags. It's also 2 passes for Nostalgia Nights each day. How does that play into your strategy for the event? Do you hang out and see where people are, or do you go ahead and make your 2 passes and then move on?
I don't. Our car's fairly consistent, so we try to get in and we'll just make our fastest 2 passes. I mean, we're racers. I'm not a car show guy. I'm not a drive and sit guy. So we just try to get in. We'll make our fastest 2 passes and get out. So that's why Midwest Drags, every event has their, I guess they're good and they're bad. So, but Midwest Drags and like this Nostalgia Nights, I'm a big fan of the 2 passes, just because more track time is more track time, So that's kind of my, and then I liked, sick week does a little bit less mileage on the drive, so you get to socialize a little more, which I like. And then like Midwest, I know they have the express lane and they have like the no class calls and stuff like that. So I mean, sick week has the 1 second reaction time rule and stuff, which I really like.
And I think a lot of events are moving to that, especially national level events.
I think it's a great idea. Just it keeps stuff moving, and it also I think it's a safety issue. I mean, when a car, car's down track at 100 miles an hour and a car's coming at close to 200,
Yeah.
that's a safety concern if things went bad. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and for fans, people want to watch people race, whether it's a blowout or not. They still want to
right,
watch people race. Yeah.
yep, for sure.
Who has been your co-pilots on your drag and drives?
My first on drag week in 16, my 9-year-old son went. So I have a lot of pictures of him changing tires and
That's great.
everything. He had a great time. He got to miss school for a week, and he actually was on Midwest Drags with me a few years ago also, because our first in 2016, I have a picture of him with Tina Pierce, and
Oh, cool.
and at 9 years old, he came up to about her shoulder, and we had a picture of it. So at Midwest Drags, we duplicated the picture, and now she comes
Oh,
up to his shoulder. So so it was kind of funny. We were laughing. So, but he's been a co-pilot. I've had a couple friends go with me. My older son, Jared, he goes with me a lot. He helps me a lot with the cars. In fact, he's welding almost all the cages now. He's a
nice.
He's 23. He's a fireman, so he has a lot of time off. So he welds all the cages. He's been the one with me at Woodward most years, when we go to Roadkill at Woodward, which he's real good at watching the suspension and stuff like that and tuning the suspension. We actually I let him do whatever he wanted to the car, and I just went up and drove it, and we got runner up to Jim Klein a couple years ago at
Wow.
Roadkill Nights. So definitely we were probably out horsepowered by double, but we made it to the finals. So
Well,
That's
hey,
cool.
that's always a good thing. That tells you what kind of racers you are typically,
yeah. So
And then
but
another one of my favorite questions is, so what are a few things that new drag and drive racers should look for when finding a co-pilot?
someone that you can get along with for a week. I learned one thing, I guess, from my last co-pilot, my buddy Mike, that we've been friends forever. But he snores so loud that you either have to sometimes you may have to get him, your co-pilot, their own room, or like me, luckily my car is so loud that I keep some shooter's muffs in there.
Mm.
And I literally slept every night in the hotel with shooter's muffs on, just to be able to go to sleep. So
I think that's a
that would be,
first. I think that's a first on snoring.
yeah.
Like,
So
hey, do you
yeah,
need a co-pilot? Yeah, man. How bad do you snore?
right. And usually you're so tired it doesn't matter, but believe
Yeah.
me, he snores so loud that it matters. So
Well, that's awesome. Well,
uh,
Jeremy, I really appreciate you hanging out here tonight with us for sure. This has been a lot of fun, and this won't be the last time you're on, I promise, because there's
great.
a lot of really cool stuff that you've done, and I got to figure out how to play the video from earlier with audio. So you got to come back for that for sure.
That's fine. So, and
Um,
I wanted to say
yeah.
your next guest, racers racers are made to bend rules. That's all I'm going to say there. You have to work in the gray area. In
Yeah.
fact, when I was driving midgets, our engine builder always told us there's two kinds of racers. There's cheaters and there's losers. So if that tells you, so a racer's always going to push the limit. Uh, so for
That
sure, that's it.
that that's hilarious. That wasn't one of the topics we were going to talk about because he's limited on time, but that's definitely something that he'll come back and tell us about.
For
I do
sure.
want to while you're on here, I want to say Dave did have a good question a while ago. Need some advice. He was 11-0 the last 2 years at Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. The car's now capable of 930s. Does he turn it down and go 10-0 racing, or I said, or do something else, which means run it all out? What would you do?
I run it all out anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's why we're there.
Yeah.
Not that, like, a lot of the 850 guys, man, that takes a lot of talent. I mean,
Yeah.
and
A lot of tuning talent.
You're on a different surface every day. You're in different air every day. And so that definitely takes a talent, and but we don't. I'm kind of more of a heads up, and kind of we just run everything all out. Even when I bracket race, I never lift. I'd rather lose than lift and win. So, so that's kind of
nice.
Well, that is so awesome. Well, again, thank you very much for hanging out tonight. We'll have you on again in probably the next couple of weeks, because I think you're always a good person to bounce ideas off of, and like we talked earlier with the world champion deal, I think you're a good source of information for that one too. So
great, thank you.
Hey, thanks a bunch, Jeremy. Where could people find your stuff on social media? Where could they follow and see the builds?
Easiest is on my Facebook, Jeremy Bonnett Facebook, and then we usually try to post stuff on there. Jared used to do a lot on Twitter, but I'm not sure he's been posting much on there. He's been busy with his new job and stuff like that. Yeah. So pretty much just that, and Facebook is mostly
That's awesome.
what we do.
All right. Perfect.
I would like to say thanks to Bubba at 501 Perfect Converter and Quick Performance. They helped me out a ton, especially when you get in a jam. The companies that are, the good companies are the ones that get you out of a jam when you break something. When you break something at the track, and on Sunday they message you and say, "Hey, send me your stuff. I'll have it done by Tuesday." So that's always a good thing. And then I got to do a shout out to Matt and Terry Donovan. If you've never met Matt and Terry, his brother, they're real good guys, and a real party everywhere they go. So
that's for sure. What's he call his car? Garbage that
barfed. Yep.
Garbage that barfed. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And his brother Terry, that's with him, also real good guy. I think Terry actually is sponsored by Four Loko now, so he's such a
yeah. I'm gonna go hang out with those guys for sure.
For sure. Yes. Yep.
So cool. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks a bunch. I know we got Brett is backstage, and we're limited on time with him. So thank you very much, Jeremy. It was great talking, man. And we'll see you at Nostalgia Nights, and we'll have some fun then. I'd love to catch a ride in whatever you're driving. Maybe switch off with whoever your co-pilot is.
Sounds great. Yeah, we'll get you a ride.
Yeah, perfect.
We'll see you then.
All right.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Bye. All right, guys, before we do that, though, we're going to thank one of our sponsors, and then we're going to bring Mr. Brett LaSala in here, and we'll get him. I know he's itching to come in. I know it.
Molly Motorsports is the official piston of DragonDrive.com. Molly's Power Pack piston is the perfect candidate for your drag and drive car. Molly Motorsports competes in drag and drive events and supports our community. Project manager Eric Grillo raced a 10-second stick shift Nova at Hot Rod Drag Week 2022. He's also competed in Rocky Mountain Race Week last year with his C10 truck. Visit mollymotorsports.com for the most recent line of products.
All right, guys, I'm going to run down through here. Eric, will you bring Brett on so we can embarrass him in front of everybody? I'm going to tell the drag and drive history that he has. And then I'm going to talk about all of the class records he set at Sick Week. So 2019, Hot Rod Drag Week, Street Race Small Block Power Adder took third place at that event with an 8.681 average, put up 850 passes. We're going to talk about he had a slow day there, which I think he probably could have won the event if he had not had a 9-second day. 2023 Sick Week modified class winner, with a 6.744 average, best pass of the week, 6.524 on day one. Now, you may know some of this stuff here, but you reset the modified class average ET record. You took that from Rick Prospero. You reset the modified class single ET record with 6.524 for any modified class at any event. Modified class record for single ET mile per hour at 200 and almost 16 miles an hour, again, for any event ever held. And then the fastest Ford powered drag and drive car, you took that from Ryan Hargett, who is not happy. I hope he's in the comments still. His was a 7.577 at Midwest Drags last year. And then you reset the fastest Coyote record, again from Ryan Hargett, and then fastest radial tire record in drag and drive history with a 6.524. Dude, congratulations.
I didn't know that there was that many inside records with that going along with that.
I feel like some of those are maybe a little bit of micro records, but dude, that's pretty impressive stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We weren't shooting for those, but obviously it came, along with it, because we're just trying to go fast and faster each time we take the car out. So, we'll take it for sure.
Well, and I think you have certainly done that. You guys showed up and showed out at Sick Week. So, but before we get into that, why don't you introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, what you race, and we'll jump right into it after that.
All right, cool. Well, I'm Brett LaSala. I race 2012 twin turbo Mustang. I work for Real Street Performance. I work in the workshop there. And currently I'm at the racetrack. Sorry for the bad camera sound or lighting. I got the days a little mixed up. When we got back from Texas on Monday, I threw my whole week off, starting work on Tuesday or whatnot. I mean, I guess that's basically it. I race for fun. It's my personal car that I built and race. And drag and drives are, since we did Drag Week in 2019, it just they just hit different. It's still drag racing, but it's not the same as any other type of drag racing. So to be able to get out to one or as many as you can is definitely fun.
I will completely 100% agree with you. One thing that's cool is like there's a lot of guys that race in drag and drive that will not make that many passes for the entire year that they will the week of drag and drive. Now, that's not the case for you. You guys race pretty often, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, basically what I tell people is if the car is running and there's a race somewhere, we're going to be there. If there's not a race, we need to test something, we'll be out. I'm fortunate enough to, I live around Orlando, Florida now. I've always lived in Florida. I was born here. So we race, all year round, and we have, a few of the best racetracks in the country that I would say all within 3 hours of each other. So it's if you're not, it's no one's fault but your own if you're not out racing, because the opportunity is there.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So the car is named Snot Rocket 2.0. Where'd that name come from?
It came from my first late model Mustang, which I bought in 2014. It was a 2013 Gotta Have It Green Mustang. I bought it. It was basically stock. It had like a tune. I bought it in intentions of turbocharging it because I was always kind of a Ford guy at the time. I was racing motorcycles because it was cheaper to go fast than cars were, and motocross. And I wanted to get back into car racing. And I saw that Coyote platform looked promising. People were already going fast. The engine was only a year old. So I bought that car to turbocharge it. The name was kind of a joke at first, with some friends at work. And then it stuck. And then now it's just part of the brand, I would say, So I kind of had to keep it into this car. And that's why, I wrapped this car green. That way, it's just recognizable. It's me and the Snot Rocket, wherever we may be doing what we're doing.
And that's usually how nicknames come about. They're never the name that you think about. It's always the one that you joke around or your buddies give you. So that's
right.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's exactly how it started. And if someone gets a chuckle out of it, I don't feel like it will offend too many people. So I feel like it's okay. And that's it. Like it or hate it, it's the Snot Rocket.
Can you give us a little bit of the build history on this car?
Yeah, so this car, I bought this car as a rolling chassis from Joel Steele. At the time, he was racing the car with a Coyote engine. It was a stick shift car. And when I purchased from him, not this winter, but the one before, it actually held the stick shift world record. I think it was a 682 at like 213. So H pattern stick shift. So I knew Joel, I knew the car from when he built it, and that it was a good chassis. And basically, I wanted to kind of skip the line of waiting for a car to be, chassis work done and that kind of stuff. It was already proven. I already knew, engine and electronics wise, what I wanted to do, and had that stuff kind of ready to go from, things that I've learned coming up with the other car. So when I got the chassis from him, then it was the fabrication work for the engine, the trans, turbo kit. I wired the whole car from scratch. It's ran on a Motec ECU, PDM, dash. Pretty much the best that I could build it as far as all of that goes. And then that was it. It started for the first time in September. I had to look back the other day. I think it was in Texas. We were, thinking of what we've accomplished with the car and how quick it is and consistent it is. And it's like, someone's like, man, you haven't ran this car that long. And I had to look back, and we literally started the engine for the first time in this car in September. So it really did hit the ground running, which was no accident. We have a lot of good people behind the scenes with Jay and Job and Jim, the fabricator, and the sensor package on this car. Like, we race this car on a laptop. We make a pass, and I don't need to see a video of the suspension or of anything. We go back to the computer and literally can see every inch of the car and what it's doing, so we can make proper adjustments. And it's kind of speaking for itself, I would say, as far as the consistency goes.
Yeah, and then what's the current configuration like? Engine combo and then trans and the rear axle setup on this. I have a picture of it in a minute. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's all that stuff is beefy race car stuff, which is great. It doesn't flex, it doesn't turn, it's consistent. Chassis is really good. The engine is a Fast Forward race engines built Coyote. It uses a factory Ford Predator engine block that has been sleeved by Fast Forward. Uses a factory Ford crankshaft with MGP aluminum rods and Manley pistons. Has a factory Ford Voodoo cylinder head that has a port job by Fast Forward with Ferrea valves and springs, and custom comp cams. So the engine is basic in a sense that it could be put into any modern Mustang, and the car would run and drive down the street like it did with the stock engine. It's not a race engine in a sense of components that have to be specially maintained and things like that. It's full wet deck, with water, obviously, for the drag and drive stuff. The turbos, it uses twin 7680 Precision Next Gens, which is what was on it at Sick Week. We've recently put 8080s on it to try to squeeze a few more horsepower out of it. And they were on it at Texas, but we didn't run the car that hard at Texas, so we didn't get to see the extra power per se. But hopefully it'll be a little faster soon.
That's pretty wild. And then, because there's a picture here in a second. Am I crazy? Did the turbo positioning change between Sick Week and Texas 2K?
No, it's the same position. Okay. They're literally just actually.
Maybe I grabbed an old picture or something like that.
Yeah, no, they've always been since I've owned the car. They've been down low on the ground there. When Joel owned the car, they were up in the grill area. But part of the things when we were building the car was try to get the center of gravity down low, and things like that. To make the car work.
That makes sense. And then I saw a couple different pictures of horsepower numbers. You want to give out what that thing makes power wise?
Yeah, so it was actually just before Sick Week, I think in December. We took it to a hub dyno to do some fuel tuning, and we ended up making it was 2506 on 48 pounds of boost, which is the boost level that we race it at. So
that's awesome.
Pretty much every time it was going down the track at Sick Week, it was on 48 pounds of boost, so it was making 2,500 horsepower.
Wow. And then what rear axle setup do you have, and then which tires do you race on? Sorry, I feel like I'm just
that's cool.
berating you with questions here.
No, it's fine. I know all the answers to these. We're good. Yeah. It's got a custom fabricated 9-inch housing. It's got a Mosier third member with a 3.7 rear gear and strange 40 spline gun drill axles.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so far, knock on wood, all that stuff's been stout. Oh, and you asked about trans. I didn't get to say the trans. It has an M&M Mark Mickey close ratio 3-speed and a lockup converter, which did help with the drag and drive stuff because we got 6 mile an hour basically out of the lockup with the same engine RPM. So essentially, we use it as a fourth gear. We use it as a fourth gear on the racetrack and then driving as well.
Yeah. That makes sense.
What's your PB for the car?
It was that 652, that first pass at
Wow.
Sick Week. Yeah,
cool.
How cool, man.
And the 60 foot from the previous personal best before that was a 655, and it was a 109 60 foot, and I think we had like a 112 60 foot that day at Sick Week. And
Wow.
basically we're excited to get back out to the car, to like a rental or something, and really try to lean on it, because we haven't got to really put the car where it needs to be 60 foot wise. Like, it's gone 109 pretty consistent with no wheelie, but I think it can live in the 105 104 range, and that's when the ET will really fall away. Maybe not on a drag and drive, obviously, but for radial prep or track outing.
Right. One thing that is pretty interesting is, from this side, is talking to racers that end up getting their personal best at a drag and drive event when you're supposed to be being safe. A lot of times they turn the power level down a little bit, and then they end up, you still have a ton of people that get their personal best. And, for you on day one to get it, that's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, well, I tossed around strategy a few different ways in my head the night before. Well, pretty much the whole night. I don't think I slept the night before, but just thinking about the strategy for the week. And one of the things I've always said with that car and with any car is, like, if you're scared to run it one pass because it may break, you're never going to make it 4 passes. If it's going to break that first pass, like, it's not going to make it 3 or 4 passes. So just get it over with now. At least then.
You might as well tear it up day one.
Right. And with the drag and drives, and it was in Orlando, which is where I live, and my truck and trailer was there. And but I mean, I knew that pass wasn't gonna blow it up, because we've run it so many times at that power level. It wasn't like it was a new power level. It's definitely the most we run, so it's not running it soft by any means, but it's basically
I mean, obviously, if you lay down a PB in the car, and that's pretty impressive. So I've got a couple pictures here, and I want to hear some of your favorite Sick Week stories. What is happening here? It looks like you've got the front end off the car. Is this a wiring harness that's laying on the ground?
No, that's all the oil lines. That's the whole dry sump, basically, off of that engine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite stories, because we ran that personal best, and obviously it was cool. It was awesome. We found out we set these records. There was posts going up on the internet from 1320, all these people that, we have the quickest drag and drive car in radial history, and all these big claims, right? And they were true for the moment. And I think I said in one of the interviews, it's like, well, the drag part, we knew we can do, like, but 5 days of doing this, and the driving is where the truth comes out of any combination or car or team running a car. And so we stuck around that day, because we were racing with my friend Pablo with his front-wheel drive Honda, and he had an axle failure, and we waited for him. We got it fixed for him to run again, because we ran that first pass in the morning. We could have got on the road pretty early, and we hung out with him so we could drive together. And then he ended up making his second pass later that day, like at, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock, and he broke the car again. And
you're like, bye.
Yeah, it was basically like, all right, we got to go, because it's a long drive. And that picture is about 10 minutes outside of Orlando International. So we get on the road, and we start cruising, and we're like, all right, yeah, we're doing this. This is going to be a long drive, And
for everybody to understand, day one's Orlando to Bradenton.
Right. So we're coming off of the fastest car or whatever in radial history, and then all right, cool. We're riding the highway, getting to Bradenton, and we pull into a gas station because we needed some pump gas, because we didn't have much to do the rest of the drive on as far as start. And there was oil leaking all of the back of the car. And Jim's like, "There's oil all of the back of the car." My co-pilot, and I'm like, "What do you mean there's oil on the back of the car? There's no oil in the back of the car." And he's like, "There's oil leaking out of the back of the car." And turns out what happened was, it was out of the back of the dry sump pump is the hex drive for the cable drive for the mechanical fuel pump that's in the back of the car, where the fuel cell is. And we disconnect that cable from the mechanical pump to drive the car on the electric pump for the street driving. And what was happening is there's an O-ring that seals the back of the engine oil pump to that cable, and it was leaking. So oil was then going through the cable and leaking out in the trunk where we had disconnected it from the cable drive.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So basically it was like, okay, we pulled over, we have this major failure, it seems, because at that point I had never actually disassembled the dry sump pump to know what that seal even looked like.
Oh man.
To know how to fix it, because the pumps come pre-assembled. And so at that point, I look at Jim and I'm like, all right, this is worst case scenario as far as exposure or blowback kind of goes from the community, because we're posted that we're the fastest or quickest radial in the world on a drag and drive, and we literally make it like 5 miles and it's broke down. So it's
dang.
It's like, all right, it doesn't matter what happens, we're fixing this car tonight. Like, I'll pull the engine out in this parking lot. Like, we're making it to Bradenton, and we're gonna keep racing.
So the folks in this gold Hyundai over here are like, what are they doing?
Well, I think that was the worst part, because we got the table. We're pretty spread out and set up there.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of people coming over to like see what we're doing or ask us questions, and it's just like, not now, Chief. I'm in the zone. Like, leave me alone.
I gotta work, bud.
We're literally trying to fix a major catastrophe, or what we thought was. So we got the pump off. I pulled the cover off, and I found that it's literally a simple O-ring. I think it needs like a radial lip seal there. I'm going to work on getting something better for that. But just got like a cheap O-ring kit and was able to just stuff a new O-ring in it. And then that's what we ran on the rest of the week. So we got it back together, got on the road, and got into Bradenton at like 3 a.m. So it was time lost, but okay in the scheme of things.
Well, you mentioned his name, and I was going to ask later, but is Jim Braun the same Jim Braun Drag Week veteran?
Yep. Yeah. So we did Drag Week together in 2019. Him with his car, and then and me with my car, and that was kind of funny too, because we entered Drag Week as our first drag and drive, and not really knowing what to expect. We didn't really have any close friends that had done it before to give the lay of the land, and at that point, especially doing it out of state, far away, and just didn't know what to expect. So I had spares of everything. At the time, I think my car ran low 7s, but it was only certed to 850. So I ran the 850 class, thinking, let's run 850, turn down, we'll enjoy the week, it'd be cool. Little did I know that Aaron and Jason and all those guys, that it's the most competitive class in Drag Week.
That's why I love that class. And Jim is one of the only guys to ever run an 8500 in that class.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and so we got there, and then day one it was like a rain day, and I hit a good number that got us pretty high. And then day two, those guys started coming over our pits, like talking to it, and like Trish trying to figure out who we were, because they hadn't seen us before, and he had put up that 500, and I think I put up like a 50 something and another 50, and then it was like, okay, this is actually really competitive. So.
Yeah,
I think Maryland, the third or fourth day was, I think it was like me and Aaron, like the only two left in the whole track. He'd run the car like 7 times, just waiting for the next person. And then I had an ECU issue on the last day with AM Infinity I was running at the time, and I couldn't get a clean pass off us in third. But it was a great way to start the drag and drive journey.
So that explains the 9/2/64 day.
Yeah,
because I was like, man, you were like on a rip, dude. You did, because I think you had like a 508 and a 506 or something like that. And then with you saying Jim, I mean, yeah, he was highly competitive for sure.
Yeah, and Jim, he lost a day in the middle because he had an aluminum exhaust on his car at the time, and he had made some aluminum mufflers underneath the car. It kind of was like a motorcycle muffler in a sense, like a canister with a paraded aluminum inside with steel wool. And from the driving, the aluminum melted, and the one muffler basically plugged up, and we were having a boost issue, and we didn't have back pressure sensors on that car at the time. I think the car might have been on a stock computer still at that time. Yeah, it was. Anyway, so it took us a full day to basically figure out what the problem was. So we lost a couple days of good ETs due to that with his car. But we faced a couple little issues there, but really learned what it was all about, how much fun it was just being at a giant facility and looking out at the pits, and there's not one truck or trailer, just race cars.
Yeah, literally streetcar heaven. That's why I tell people all the time, drag and drive will change your life.
Yeah, it really was, and from that point on, we wanted to do more. But then the next couple of years also, like, I like living in a memory for a while before I try to replace it with another one right away. So it was like, we were letting that one kind of sink in for a little bit. And then, and then we did Stick Week with his car last year. We had a timing chain issue on the first day. So we didn't make it very far. But we knew we were going to do it again because it's a great drag and drive.
Yeah, for sure. And then one more story here, and then we'll we'll move on. Tell me about what's going on in this picture here. You're like, it looks like you're blocking the sun. Is that like?
Yeah.
Are you tired of getting sunburned?
Yeah, that was a sun blocker because that car has bolt-in windows, and I didn't want to change a lot about the car for the drag and drive. Like engine, driveline stuff was all drag and drive ready, but the car itself, the windows don't roll down, which isn't very good for drag and drive. So we were just unbolting them every day, basically for the drives, get airflow in the cabin. But we didn't have any sun protection, and we were just baking in traffic somewhere in Lakeland, and I'm like, "Give me your hat." Put it up over there.
I need a break here. Yeah, this is what people have to understand. This is what you lived in for a week, man. Moving blankets make the best removable seat pads.
Right. You use it to lay under the car. It's all about efficiency in drag and drive and storage. So if you can use one item for 2 or 3 things, you're doing good.
That's exactly right. Go ahead, Eric. I think you had a question there while I get some pictures pulled up here.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up this comment from your first story there, Darce Laws, who's actually going to be on Adam Dory's podcast tomorrow night. He had said your cable was well lubed.
Oh yeah, right, yeah, exactly. That's what the next day when we got it fixed, we're like, we think we need to re-grease it, and I'm like, I don't think we ever got to grease this cable.
Yeah, it's probably going to be fine now.
Yeah,
it'll definitely make the week and then the next event most likely.
Yeah, exactly.
So for Sick Week, obviously nobody goes into it, expecting to go slow, but did you expect to go that fast all week long?
Yeah, I did. Because I knew we had heavy hitters in the class, like Mikael with the Volvo. I knew was gonna probably be faster than he was the year before, and then Garrett's El Camino. Like me and him have been racing back and forth at a lot of events, and I knew it's 650, 649 capable. So and also racing the circuit that we did, I knew the tracks and how the tracks are, and I knew that we'd be able to go fast at Bradenton, Orlando. Gainesville would be questionable, and SGMP would be questionable. So I was gonna, basically run fast as I could the whole time. And if it wasn't for Garrett dropping out in Georgia, I would have ran the car again there and in Gainesville, probably knock a couple more tenths off. But then I realized that we didn't need to because of we kind of got a little lead there on the average, so we decided to save it at that point and keep cruising.
Yeah, you were out in front of Borgren quite a bit, I think. I don't remember what the difference is there, but one thing that is, with you racing the car so much, was there anything different that you did to plan for the abuse from pulling the trailer? A bigger trans cooler, converter, anything like that?
No, that was a lot of, we've got that question a lot. And the thing is no, we didn't change one thing on how we raced the car to how we raced the car at any other given point. When we first built it, it has dual trans coolers in the back, the big radiator and the fans and all that stuff. Like I don't own a push car or a trailer big enough to have a push car. So, we drive it to the lanes at all the events and do that. So literally the only changes were made were for the street trim, not the drag racing trim.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So after Sick Week, you go to TX2K, and then you go and win the Street Elite class with 6-second passes. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So after Sick Week, we pulled the engine to freshen it because it had been in the car since like November, like all the racing we did, and then all that driving. So we freshened the engine. I think we made a video about it. That racing channel did. That's going to be out pretty soon. And then so we went to Texas with a fresh engine and the little larger turbos, the 8080s, in expectance to have to run 650s or 640s because Garrett put in the SMX engine in his car, and again, he was going to be in our class, and then there was other 6-second capable cars in the class, and as a racer you always want to go faster anyway, and we get there, and then the weather was pretty miserable for the first few days. It was cold and sleeting and raining, and we only ended up with 2 qualifiers, and so then at that point it was kind of like salvage mode. So I was like, oh, I have a tune-up for this SGMP Sick Week tune-up from from day 3, and we just went down as a 690. We ended up qualifying number 1 out of the 100 cars that were entered in that full field, and then at that point realized that a 670 was the ET that could win the race. And we set that tune up in it and ran 4 rounds of eliminations and went 670 every single round. I think I ran the same number 2 rounds, like 6, 7, 3, 6, like literally back to back. And
Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the pictures here showed two ETs, 6.736 and then 6.736, one at 200 almost 6 and one at 210.
Yeah, the only difference in the mile an hour is I was lifting early if I was, ahead a little bit, like a little earlier or not. But other than that, it was running pretty much identical times, and we just dialed in that, a relatively slow 60 foot for that car, and just to assure that, we weren't having any tire spin or anything like that, because the conditions were changing there. It felt like a drag and drive. Every day or every round was completely different. We had 1,000 DA, within 1,000 DA swings from 40 degrees at night to 60 with the sun out. So it was, it was challenging track conditions, but luckily we were able to put in, a decent tune up that I knew would go down any track condition, and stayed consistent and won the event.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then Garrett
and Jim,
end up even
and
being
then
in
Jim,
your
my co-pilot, he won the pro event, the pro class. So they break that.
Oh wow!
100 cars enter, and then you qualify. Everyone qualifies or runs qualifying, and then they take it and they split it into groups of 16. The fastest 16 cars, the next fastest 16 cars, and so on. And Jim landed in that middle class, and then he ended up taking home the win in that second class.
Oh, very
That's
cool.
awesome. You're surrounded by winners.
Yeah, I mean, we
you guys have had a good 23 so far.
Yeah, it's been a good year so far. I mean, we work together, and that's the thing with our group. Like, a lot of us have Mustangs or different cars, and we're all working together. Jim's an excellent fabricator. I'm really good at mechanical and electrical, so we all have a skill set that we can use each other back and forth, and we're in control of everything because the car is not somewhere else. Like we're doing 99% of the work on the car. So and one thing that, and everything kind of leaks down, right? Like we'll experiment stuff with my car. It's kind of the one we're trying stuff on, or the most horsepower. So. And then, the levels below that we have pretty well controlled. So it's easier for, the other guys to run those levels and have a very consistent, reliable race car.
Yeah, I mean, one guy way out front, and then, as you move back down the slower ET list, everything becomes, you've been through that with your car. That's pretty cool.
Right, exactly. We've been through it. So we're able to, help each other, and then, help customers because, we've been through it. And that's the best experience that you can have.
So are you planning on doing any other drag and drive events this year or any more in the future?
Yes, I am planning on it. There is none currently on my schedule hard written in. I really want to do Rocky Mountain Race Week just because I've never been to that part of the country, and it'd be really neat to go drive around out there. I know the conditions are even more challenging out there.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make it this year. I'm not 100% on that yet. And also, Jared Holt, he's one of our customers, has a Supra that we race through Real Street. And he started an event out there, King of the Open Road. And I think he has one in May. And I like the idea of his in a sense, too, because they're short, right? Like Dragon Drives, it's an expensive race to compete at because of the days and the lodging and all that stuff. So, a 3-day deal one, you get a little taste of it. Get to do it and then get out of there was appealing too. So I may bring the car out there to Oklahoma and do that one with him.
That'd be great. Yeah, I intend to attend that. It's the last weekend of May for everybody that's out. Easiest way to find is King of the Open Road on Facebook, or I think they're working on a website and stuff too. I love his events because, again, the regional events I think are the gateway drug for new drag and drive people.
Yeah.
And that event, you have some test and tune Friday. They do like a 200 to 250 mile drive on Saturday, and then race a shootout elimination style deal on Sunday. So pretty fun setup there.
Yeah, and it's cool how they get the towns involved that they drive through.
Yeah.
And then, like, literally, there's such small towns. Like, I think one town for this next one is literally hosting a burnout contest, like, on their main road. And it's like, you can't really you would never do that in Florida,
No. I rode with Jared in his car last November, and man, what a blast! Or last May, I think. What a blast! Like, it was cool to pull into a town and like the whole town be shut down. There's people on the side of the road and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's what we're going to see moving forward with a lot of these events is the drive part. Cooper did have a question or a statement while ago. Said, make sure you ask about the green shoes, dude. What is what? These look super sexy, man. Tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, they're a bit extra. I got those from a friend of mine, Steve Kelly. I'm gonna try to pinpoint the year. It had to have been around. It was like 18. I think 2018 was when I had my other car, and I had a single turbo kit on it and a 6R80 trans. And at the time, I was trying to. I was like basically pushing that transmission platform faster and faster and faster, and it was going to be the first 7-second pass and like the record for that trans. I was on that 8.0. You know, you always land on an O, and then you stay on an O for like a while before you get to the next ET bracket. And I was on that 8.0 thing for a while and fought through it. And he came to the Florida one day with the shoes. He lives in Memphis, and he's like, when you run your 7, I'm gonna give you my pimp shoes. And
that's even better that he's from Memphis.
Yeah, where he's from Memphis. So they're you know, the story behind the shoes is pretty elaborate where they originated from. I don't know if it, you know, with a trap house or this and that, and I don't know exactly where they came from. I know he gave them to me, and we just classified them then as they're my winning shoes. So if I win an event, they're in the trailer and the shoes come on, and then we celebrate with them. So it kind of became a thing, and I'm getting to wear them more now. So it's awesome.
Yeah. That's super cool. Well, I do want to ask you, how far do you think the Coyote setup can be pushed? I mean, you guys are in the mid 6s already. I mean, you know, there are 5-second Coyotes, right? Like a 591 or something, right? 590.
Yes. Yeah. MMR, they have their Pro Mod. It's a full big tire Pro Mod that they're running mod motor stuff on. They have a billet tall deck Coyote. So it gets pretty big with the tall deck. It's like 400 cubic inches, I think, or close to it, you know. And I think they ran 5s. They did run 5s with that car. To me, the portion of the Coyote that I'm pushing or we're playing with is the water cooled stuff, the factory block stuff, the stuff that is achievable from a lot of people.
I'm more interested in that kind of stuff too. I didn't know that their car was, all you hear is Coyote and 5s. I didn't know it had all the extra stuff.
Yeah, the billet tall deck thing gets pretty exotic as far as an engine goes. Coyote base, it still uses factory Coyote head, unlike a lot of the aftermarket engines, like the valve train components and stuff. A lot of them were still, factory style, which is really cool. But for what we're doing with like the factory block stuff, ET wise, I don't know what the limit is. It's gonna be in a lighter car. My car is not heavy; it's 3,025 or so with me. But it's not necessarily light if you're trying to go set an ET record. I know there's some really fast, no time 8th mile cars right now with cast blocks that probably have 400 or 500 pounds on me as far as the car goes. But I'm going to keep racing my car at the weight it's at because I'm not ready to lose the streetability yet. If I took all that street car stuff out of it, we could probably get it 200 pounds lighter or so. But like I said, I'm not there yet as far as what I want to do with it.
Let's be honest. While you hold the record, there's no point in it.
Yeah, right. But for the meantime, I'm just going to try to make more horsepower because that's how you're going to counteract weight. And plenty of people have broken Coyote engines. I mean, they've broken half. Cranks have broke a lot of failures. But knock on wood, we haven't yet with my engine. And we've run, awesome. We've run it hard for a continuous period of time now. We feel like, so we're gonna kind of just keep inching up on it. Maybe it ends up at 2,700, 2,800. I don't really know where it will be reliably raced at before it becomes like a failure or a safety point.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. Well, hey, I know you're at the track and running around. I want to say thank you for. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Am I back?
Yeah.
Dude, me and this computer are going to fight. I was saying, thank you for hanging out tonight. I know you're at the track and busy there. And are you guys going faster tonight? Is that the plan? Is that what you've been doing?
No, I'm not here with my car. I'm here with my buddy Christian's Mustang. We're testing. We're going to be racing in Steele, Alabama on the 14th of April for a streetcar takeover event.
Nice.
And so I'm just out here helping him run his car tonight.
That's cool. Well, where's the best place for people to find and follow you? And then where would you say they need to go to see all the cool stuff too?
Well, me personally is Facebook and Instagram. You can just put in Brett LaSala, and then the pages should pop up there. YouTube, that racing channel posts a lot of stuff on my car, and then Real Street Performance YouTube channel is a lot of good technical videos that go up basically weekly on that YouTube.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you very much. Again, like I tell every guest, this will not be the last time you're here. There's a lot of knowledge in there that we didn't get into tonight, and I'd love to get into that sometime soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. This was my first podcast, so I'd like to do more.
Wow.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
hey, we're starting something for you here. I'm telling you, there's a few podcasts that follow us and then have guests on that have been on with ours. So it's a lot of fun, man. So good luck to you guys tonight. And thanks again. I know it's getting late out there too.
Oh, no, that's no problem. We'll see you.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, man. See you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. What a cool dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like 650s, bro. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah. And your best pass on your first pass the stick week.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. And for folks at home that have never been to one of these, you got to understand just the stress level that goes into that. And to go out and knock down your PB on day one, then you can almost, you're not going to coast in a 650 car, especially when you make it 10 miles down the road and you've got the front end torn off of it. So,
right. We got a bunch of starred questions here. I don't know if you want to run
let's
through
run
them.
Through them.
First one was way earlier, but anyone covering the street and yeet?
Yes. So I know that Chris Story is going to be there for photos. Jesse Fox from Chris Story Photo is going to be there. And then Jesse Fox of 3G Video is going to be there as well. And he'll do videos and photos. Duck Hunter TV, I think, is going to be there. I know he was there for a couple of days last year. I hope we end up seeing some videos from him.
He's the one asking the question.
Yeah, I know. I figure I'll give him a plug there,
All right.
make sure you're following him. Really good dudes. And then neither of us are going to be there. Sadly, I couldn't make it work with time off. Plus it's the weekend before the circuit. So it makes it really hard to make that travel. And then, the Reese hitch, Jay Blanchard here, J Wire Solutions, Reese hitch converted to parachute mount is a much better option than a parachute mount converted to a trailer hitch. Ask him how he knows that. They have completely re-braced their, what was a basket holder, I think is now going to be a trailer hitch. They had some issues, as you carry a basket on the back of, guys, your SUV, the thing bounces around. Well, you can imagine it bouncing around on the back of a race car. And if the bracing isn't perfect, how that can work. So I'm excited to see their new setup. Those guys will be on eventually in the next few weeks, hopefully. So, and then Tom Llewellyn met this dude last year on Midwest Drags. I think he pulled the Sick merch trailer. And we met then, super great guy. And then he's attempting his first drag and drive this summer with Sick Summer. He's flying solo and none of his friends could take that much time off. That is a bit of the struggle. I think at this time when he made the comment, we were talking about what to expect from your co-pilot. There's the next comment here. He says, but I know a bunch of other people racing. So that makes it nice because you're going to have to group up because you're going to have somebody help you turn some wrenches or hand you some stuff or really be that person in your ear saying, hey, it's okay. We can fix this. You can get that in there. So that'll help a bunch too.
And then he just commented too that he's hoping to make 850s in his stick car.
Bring it on, dude. That'd be great. We would love to see some 850 stick shift action. How long till the circuit? We're 25 days from the circuit. Still don't have a motor in the truck. You got plenty of time, I hope, if you don't have very far to drive to get there. So get the motor in the truck. I know there were a couple people like Colt Beck that were looking for engines the other day. I know David Maxon and Keaton Maxon were putting together a new setup maybe or an upgrade for his S10. And Colt Beck was looking for like a 351 for the Ranger they have. So pretty intense stuff there. If your engine isn't in the truck, you're going to have issues.
And then this one's definitely cool. Marlin Chaser just found the channel during the stream, so welcome.
Nice.
What's the best resource to learn about getting into these events, having the right requirements, have hot rodded Chevelle, but no cage or anything? Interested.
Yeah, probably the easiest way. I mean, it's hard with the rule set because you go to like a NHRA race or an IHRA race, and it's very cut and dry. And within the drag and drive community, it's almost tech is very hard to find. A lot of people follow the drag week rules, and if you are no cage and you're going to race at most of these tracks are NHRA or IHRA tracks, you're gonna be limited to an 1150 pass. You may be able to get through a pass faster than that, or turn. You may not be able to turn in a pass faster than that, based on depending on national or regional level event. So there's a lot of gray area that is still within the drag and drive community, and that's the only way I know how to answer that. I'm sorry, that doesn't help at all.
It just got me thinking. Any thoughts about putting rules on the dragonDrive.com website?
As far as like laying out
different
for the
events?
racers, that's a great idea for an article for sure. Laying out what you're really looking at, and a lot of guys maybe like Marlon here has built a car that is a great street car that he drives all the time, and intends to go fastish, 11s, 10s, 11s, something like that. A lot of times those guys, they make it to the track once or twice a year. It's really built as a street car, so that's not a bad idea. Maybe break out some easy to read, guidelines as far as like cage certs and things like that you would need to have and all that kind of stuff. So,
or even maybe like what's the top 5 rules that all of the drag and drive events share or have in common?
One of the biggest things, one of the biggest things that people miss out on are the headlights, turn signal, headlights, taillights, turn signals, and blinkers, and horn, blah blah blah. Turn signals and blinkers are the same thing. Jay Blanchard makes a good point. Maybe a hyperlink page with various rule links for events and NHRA stuff. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll do that. The struggle is with dragondrive.com, we turn out so many articles that it could get lost. But D&D resource page is a great idea. So definitely work on that. I'll add that to my personal to-do list that is about 38 items long. I won't put it at the bottom because that is something that is very important and needs to go towards the top. So
anytime you can get ideas from people in the chats to do stuff and improve your page and everything, that's even better.
Yeah, for sure. Hey Pat, that'd be great. I would not turn that away, sir. That would be awesome. Well, cool. Well, dude, we had a wild show tonight, man. It was awesome. We had new event on it. We unveiled the world champion. Hold on, let me do this real quick here.
Yeah, bring that back up one more time.
Yeah, hold on. I'll put it like right here. How about that?
Oh, we got another question here though. Registration question: is proof of insurance and plates and inspection sticker enough, or do we need actual paperwork?
Proof of insurance for sure. You'll need your registration, the piece of paper that has your name on it, for registration for the circuit. And I would figure for most of the events, insurance. I'll take a picture of your insurance as long as it's in date and stuff. A lot of times, guys will pull up and they're like, "Oh man, I thought I could get it from my folks," but the insurance agency isn't open on a Saturday morning, so that's why we're doing Friday. So you could get it from there. But proof of insurance and plates and inspection sticker enough? No, you'll need like your registration. I don't think we'll need an inspection sticker per se because I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care if you're inspected in the state. All I care is, do you have insurance on the car that's in your name in case you pile it up,
Yeah. And another person here thinks the hyperlink would be great. So I think that'll be a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's something that'll definitely come. Well, dude, I want to say happy birthday to your dad again. That's exciting. And then, man, we had a great show. Congratulations on 2,000 subscribers for the channel. We're just a hair over 3,000 here, which is kind of fun. And then, you know, we're steadily growing on all of these. I'm getting back to posting on this stuff. We have a lot of stuff in the works. This world champion deal has really taken a lot of my time lately.
Yep.
And then some other stuff we have working too. So a lot of stuff happening this year. I know I say it all the time, but we really are so busy, so busy all the time, keeping everything going. And plans for more posts on the page is definitely in the works as well. So I see Jeremy saying happy birthday to your dad too. So thanks again to Jeremy for being on, and thanks to Brett for being on.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
Those guys are awesome. So, all right, let's, I'll be back Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern with the news, which is a 30-minute, you know, fast-paced news and entertainment from the Drag and Drive community. It's basically your source to get all of this quickly. We typically don't have guests on that. Eric will pop on from time to time just to have, you know, help me finish out the show or talk about a certain thing. We'll have all of that on. That's, again, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And then we're back next week with Jared Holt and Javier from That Racing Channel talking about King of the Open Road. And then who else did we have on next week? There's somebody else that's on next week, but I can't remember.
We're gonna reach out to Matt. I don't know if you'd reached out yet or not.
Matt
Lampier.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yep. I'll message him right after this. And then we talked to Greg Jones of Engine Builder Magazine yesterday. He's going to be on an upcoming episode. So a lot of fun stuff coming, man, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So, all right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate everybody hanging out all night tonight. Thank you for all the comments in the chat and all that kind of stuff. I'm really excited about this right here. This is going to be wild. So I'm going to spend another probably hour or two on this tonight and messaging promoters and some of the racers that we have met over the years to make sure that our points series structure is fair for everyone within the Drag and Drive community. So, all right, guys, thanks a bunch. We'll see you next time.
Yep. See you guys.